What's going on, guys? My name is Steve. Thank you for stopping by my channel. Today we're going to be reacting to 5 ways British and American kitchens are very different. You know, I obviously understand what to expect from your average American kitchen, but I don't really think I've ever really learned about your average British kitchen before. You know, I have reacted to a video before that was about some of the differences between houses in the US versus houses in the UK, but in that video, it really didn't go into too many details about the different rooms specifically. So anyways, I came across this video and I thought this would be a really interesting one to check out. So let's just go ahead and learn about some of the differences between kitchens in the UK and kitchens in the US. Vlogmas.
Hello, I'm Lawrence and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to kitchens. It's that time of year again, of course, when food sees its approval rating shoot to new
holidays.
heights. And while I continue to look at the way in which British and American food varies wildly, the same is true of kitchens. Sure, some American kitchens on the whole might be larger than their British counterparts, just by virtue of the fact that houses are. But for once, I'm not going to concentrate on size. Instead, today I'm going to stick a rubber-gloved hand deep down into the details of how we use our kitchens. From etiquette to gadgets, here are 5 ways that British and American kitchens are very different.
Kettles.
I don't know if you've heard this or not, but my homeland of Britain may or may not be obsessed with tea.
Yeah.
We're so obsessed, in fact, that when everybody was worried about running out of toilet roll, we were clearing the shelves of PG Tips. And our
Is that true? Back in 2020, I think is what he's talking about probably. That's crazy, man.
obsession with tea can be seen through the gadget we use to make it, the electric kettle. An electric kettle is a kettle that is electric. That is, you plug it into the wall. Now, I don't have British plug sockets where I live, so
I've never seen one before.
It's not completely
Seriously.
authentic. But the electric kettle at my house is made by...
Well, I'll take that back. I've probably seen it in videos since I've been on this journey, but I've never seen one in person. You know what I mean? Just never came across one.
British company Russell Hobbs. You simply plug it in, put water in it, switch it on, and wait for it to boil. Now, any British people watching this might be thinking, how on earth do Americans make tea? Well, firstly, Americans don't drink tea quite as much as British people.
Yeah, it's true.
Secondly, even though America doesn't have a royal family, coffee is king. Not literally, that would be absurd. But for Americans who do drink tea or hot drinks that aren't coffee, they usually have stovetop kettles. They work much the same way as electric kettles, except you don't plug them in, and the only thing that you turn on is the stove. I have to say, while I don't have a major preference between both types of kettles, there is something a little bit satisfying about a kettle that whistles. Plus, that way you know when it's done, even if you're in another wing of your house, another room of your house. Either way, when it comes to Britain, the electric kettle is not the only kitchen gadget that...
So I've actually never seen an electric kettle that I know of. It's definitely not something that I don't think I've ever seen in an American household that I know of, like any friends or family. Not just an electric kettle, any kind of kettle. The only person that I can remember that actually had any type of kettle, like my grandma had a regular kettle like the one he was talking about that whistled. I remember that growing up, but I don't remember if my other grandma did or not, but I know my one grandma did. But other than her, you know, my mom never had a kettle that I know of. None of my aunts, cousins, friends, none of my wife's family, just no one ever really had any kettles. You know, I think that it has something to do with, yeah, generally speaking, tea is really, like hot tea is just really not much of a thing here. I don't really drink any tea except a little bit of herbal tea. When if I can't sleep, I'll drink a little herbal tea. That's pretty much it at night. Other than that, I'm just drinking water all day. I've never really been a beverage person. I don't really, you know, beverages just, I don't know. I drink a shake, usually like a milkshake with banana and things like that for lunch a lot of days. And I drink water. That's pretty much it. I don't like coffee. Don't, you know, but my wife and other parts of both of our families definitely do sweet iced tea, but obviously that has nothing, you don't need a kettle for that. So I think it's just simply we just don't drink a lot of hot beverages here, except people that do drink coffee. And in that case, they usually have a coffee maker for that. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. You know, I can imagine why kettles will be popular in the UK, because I know you guys, generally speaking, drink a ton of hot tea. So it's just a difference in the cultures, I guess. But anyway, let's continue.
It uses water.
Laundry.
Washing machines in a kitchen. Sorry, America, for most Brits, this is a harsh reality. I say harsh, most of us wouldn't want it any other way. When I was growing up, the washing machine was right there next
Whoa! That's crazy, man.
to the kitchen sink. It was an easy way to consolidate chores and get chicken curry in your underpants.
That's true. That's
and it
true.
doesn't end there, because a lot of British washing machines also contain a dryer in one machine. It's not a great idea because the dryer is usually rubbish. Hence why a lot of Brits still put their clothes out on a washing line. Across the pond, look around most kitchens in the United States and you won't find a washing machine.
Let me think.
You might sometimes find them in a kind of pseudo laundry room that's attached to the kitchen, but not normally beneath the microwave. I do hope all of
That's
that
true.
sinks in. And speaking of sinks, that brings us on to
That's true. I can't really think of any houses that I know of that have a washer machine or dryer in the kitchen. Usually it's, in a separate room. Usually they have it. A lot of people have laundry rooms, but like we have a basement. And that's where our washer and dryer is. But that's interesting. I can understand the convenience factor there, and I think in general, from what I remember, I don't remember the exact sizes, but the average British house versus the average American house, the average British house is smaller. And so that's probably something to do with that. They're just trying to maximize space. So smart, makes sense.
this.
The sink.
Join me now and imagine a dystopian future in which humanity has run out of dishwashers. What would we do? Well, the answer to that question might depend on the country that you live in. For example, Americans would be more likely than Brits to hand wash their dishes under water running from a tap. On the other hand, Brits might be more likely than Americans to clean them in a sink filled with hot water. This is partly done to be more economical with water use, but it's also because British homes didn't, and in some cases still don't, have mixer taps. In other words, most British homes were equipped with separate hot and cold taps. And so cleaning dishes under a running hot tap might result in third-degree burns.
Oh man, that's
However,
true.
find almost universally with mixer taps, which help them to regulate temperature, Americans don't have to worry about that. Additionally, American kitchen sinks often come equipped with gadgets that might seem alien in some British homes. For example, and this is one of my favourites, the garbage disposal. This is a mechanical feature inside plug holes that breaks up waste. It's also the cause of death for 57% of people in American horror films. And the other delightful gadget that's found in a lot of American sinks is the sprayer hose. This is kind of a pre-clean thing where you spray all of the gunk off the plate and then you...
Wait, you guys don't have those? I mean, I can see maybe much older houses not having those, but generally speaking, I live in a house. Well, granted, I live. This house was built in 1940, I think, but it was, it's been remodeled and things like that. So I'm sure the original kitchen tap probably didn't have that sprayer, I'm guessing.
Clean your plate under regulated warm water. So okay, in this dishwasherless dystopian nightmare, both countries do at least have options, but what about when it comes to drying the dishes? In Britain, it's fairly normal not to rinse the soap off before letting the dishes dry on the drying rack.
Wait, you don't rinse the soap off right away? That's interesting. Okay.
There, the soap, in theory, slides off or dissolves. It was hard to explain that to my American wife because Americans, for the most part, rinse off the soap with tap water or, if
I never knew you couldn't do that.
And either leave it to dry in the drying rack or may not get to it straight away with a towel. Now, I've never been passionately in favour of one method over the other, but the argument often thrown forward for the British way is that rinsing can leave water stains. And I suppose that's true if you're lazy, and thinking about it, I am. If I wasn't, I probably wouldn't make use of these.
Okay. Generally speaking, we have a dishwasher, but we don't use it every day. We use it like every when we have a particularly heavy day of dishes, I guess you could say, like, I don't know, probably use it twice a week. Otherwise, we generally use it as our drying rack on the days that we don't actually use it. So usually, the way we wash dishes generally is a sink of water. I don't know what he's talking about in regards to like washing dishes under running water. Now, rinsing dishes under running water, okay, sure, but not washing. Generally speaking, we have a sink of soapy hot water, and then we wash the dishes and pass it over to the other sink compartment, and then the other person, or if I'm by myself, for example, I would go ahead and rinse the dishes, and then they could get put in the dishwasher or up on top of the counter on our drying mat thing, depending on if the dishwasher is being used or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't imagine though not rinsing the soap off, because like generally speaking, from my experience, when you have soap left on a dish, that's when you get the most spots. And also that's when it kind of makes it like more likely to attract dirt and dust and things like that, because the soap is kind of sticky. But maybe there's some kind of difference there in the soap or something. I don't know, but I just can't imagine that. Not with the soap that we generally use. Generally speaking, we use a pretty much natural soap. So it's nothing like some kind of crazy hardcore chemical soap that some people use. We generally try to, for the most part, use pretty healthy, health conscious type of soaps and things like that in our house when possible. So I don't know. That's interesting. I guess it's just again, cultural differences. That's very interesting though. Egg cups.
What on earth is an egg cup? And I'm not exclusively throwing that question.
I have no idea what an egg cup is.
Americans of a certain region or generation have often told me, "Oh, we had those growing up." That was really British. Sorry, but the fact is, most Americans are probably not familiar with egg cups, and most
never heard of it.
Have them in their houses. On the other hand, according to a law that I just made up, it's illegal for British kitchens not to have one. We're even handed them at birth. The parents walk away with a baby, an egg cup, and 4 boxes of PG tips. But what do we use them for? Well, I'm glad you asked, because this is where the lazy part of Lawrence comes in. They house soft-boiled eggs, and these are soft-boiled eggs that have had the top knocked off them. I've never been really good at that part. And what you do is you dip toast or bread soldiers into the egg, and it is the most amazing breakfast in the whole world, and you're all wrong. Shut up. Egg cups. I do realise that for some of you, you've just learned a new word. The perfect segue into this.
Well, I can see if you really enjoy soft-boiled eggs, I can see how that could be very convenient way to dip toast into that. But I mean, as someone who, I only eat eggs because they're filling. I don't eat them because I enjoy them. I've never really been an egg fan. I eat them. I just ate eggs this morning. So it's not that I don't eat them. And I mean, we get really great eggs. So it's not the quality of the egg. We get local farm fresh eggs. But it's just growing up, I literally could never eat eggs growing up. I thought they were just so disgusting to me. And then as I got older, I was like, you know what? You should definitely get yourself to like eggs to a point that you can, eat them, because they're very healthy for you, very nutritious. One of the most nutritious foods you can eat. And so that's why I do it. It's filling and they're nutritious. I don't do it for any other way. If it was just about taste, eggs probably wouldn't be in my diet. So, I could see the convenience factor if you do love eggs and that's something you eat on a regular basis, though. But I generally speaking, I think for the most part, Americans probably eat, eggs usually scrambled, sunny side up, things like that, usually for the most part. So that's probably why we don't. Well, at least in my case, I've never seen that, and so I'm guessing a lot of people, probably in America, probably haven't seen those either. But definitely a good invention if you are, like soft-boiled eggs. So, kitchen
just
lingo.
to bring us full circle, there are, of course, many British and American word differences when it comes to food. I have done and will continue to do videos on that. But here's a short sample of variations in kitchen lingo. In Britain, whether or not the hot and cold taps are unified, tap is the word we go for. And
Interesting. Okay. We call it a faucet or a spigot, depending on what you're talking about. And a lot of people probably wonder why it would be called, why we would say a spigot. Well, a spigot is basically a pipe that comes out of a wall, from what I understand. And so I've actually looked at this before. And so basically in older houses, that's what you had. You had a pipe that basically came out of the wall. And so it was called the spigot because that's literally what it was called. And then over time, when you got more of a faucet look and a tap on the spigot, people a lot of times still just were used to using the word spigot. But yeah, I can understand tap, but I don't think tap. I don't really know if that's something that we use or not very often. I understand what it is, but I think we generally use the word faucet.
While I have heard that word applied in the United States, Americans will often opt for faucet.
Yeah,
And
faucet.
sometimes when the plumbing's bad and the water won't come out, you might have to force it. Sorry, that joke only works in Britain. Anyway, whether it is tap or faucet, you will need one to do the washing up. Washing up, that's what Americans say when they just take 5 minutes to clean themselves. In Britain, that's our phrase for doing the dishes. And if we're not being lazy, we might dry the dishes by hand. In order to do this, we use what is known as a tea towel.
Tea towel. Interesting. So you say washing up. We would say, I think he was right. I think we would just say washing the dishes. Am I? Got to wash the dishes. Yeah, I think that's something. And for tea towel, we would probably say, I don't even know, a towel. I just would say a towel or a drying towel, probably.
In America,
Give me a
I've
cloth.
heard many variants on this, but you might be hard-pressed to find somebody that uses the term tea towel.
No,
Instead, in Indiana,
dish
I think I
towel.
most commonly heard dish towel.
Yeah.
In my house, I don't know about anybody else's, these can often be found hanging from the oven. I don't know why I did that, because actually both countries use the word oven.
Okay.
But in Britain, we also call it a cooker, and that's something for which my wife
Cooker?
has ridiculed me for 15 years. Thank you for watching this latest Vlogmas episode. Be sure
Generally speaking, a cooker for us would be something like usually outside. You would put like wood or coal or something like that in it, and you would a smoker. I'm sure you know what a smoker is. You put a pig in it or something like that, and you smoke it for a barbecue. That's generally a cooker. Also, sometimes there are smaller ones that people put turkeys in and things like that. It's like, sometimes they're electric, but other times they're like, you put different types of wood chips and things in them and they smoke the meat. And that's known as a cooker. Generally it would be an oven. The top of the oven is the stove. I'm guessing that's pretty much the same between both countries. But anyways, guys, I thought this was really interesting. Definitely learned a few things here. Like, I guess I don't know. I mean, I guess I never really thought that much about the kettle thing because it's just not something I'm used to seeing here. But now that I think about it, it makes sense that a lot of you guys would have kettles because, it's well known. It's well known. It is a stereotype, but I'm beginning to learn that it's a stereotype that's true, that you guys as a whole, not every person obviously, but as a whole, drink a ton of hot tea. And so it makes sense you'd have a kettle, and especially an electric one, because I'm sure it's quicker to warm up than I don't know what you call the non-electric ones, a regular kettle. I don't know what you call that, but makes sense. Makes total sense. If I was going to drink a lot of some kind of hot beverage, I would definitely buy a kettle. But as of now, I don't really drink enough hot beverages for it to make much sense. And generally speaking, I'll just, when I make my little bit of herbal tea here or there, probably once a week, maybe I drink a cup of herbal tea at night. But other than that, that's pretty much it. So I just warm that up on the stove. It's not really a problem. Washing machines in the kitchen. I mean, it makes sense in a smaller house. I could see how it could be convenient. While you're doing other kitchen chores, you can, change from the washing machine to the dryer and stuff. Here, we have to go all the way down a flight of stairs into the basement. And it is a little bit aggravating to be that far away from up in the living area. So definitely could appreciate that. I don't know. Although, man, if we had the washer and dryer in the kitchen, it would probably mean less cabinet space, which I definitely love cabinet space. So I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to give that up. I don't know. I guess it just depends on the makeup or the layout of the house. Dishes, I mean, I don't really, that's what I'm curious about. Leaving soap on dishes. I've never heard about that, never seen that before, didn't even know that was a thing. I thought that would actually be a bad thing because it would, attract dust and stuff because the soap tends to be a little sticky, if you don't understand what I'm saying. But maybe that's not the case. I don't know, but I don't know. I really don't know what to say. It's just completely different from how I've ever washed dishes before. It's just, it must be a cultural difference. I don't know. But yeah, interesting. Egg cups, like I said, never heard of them, but definitely interesting. Definitely makes sense if you're going to eat hard soft-boiled eggs and dip toast in it. It would be a very convenient way to do that because otherwise, I guess you'd have to pour it out into a bowl, I guess you could do that. I don't know. I don't eat really soft-boiled eggs, so I don't really know what to think there. But I could see how that could be kind of convenient. But yeah, otherwise, he's talking about some of these phrases and stuff, and we went over those. But yeah, guys, I thought this was really interesting. Definitely like to check out some more of these types of videos about differences between different rooms and houses and things like that. I just find these interesting. It's definitely one of the things, I enjoy a lot about this journey, like pretty much everything about this journey. But this is definitely one of the things that I really look forward to is kind of learning about some of these differences we have, because in a lot of ways, our countries are alike. The US and the UK are very alike in a lot of ways. We're allies and, English speaking and there's so many things that we're alike on, but there are quite a few differences in the lifestyles we lead in a lot of ways. And this video just goes to show some of those very small but very interesting differences we share. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow me on my journey to discover my British and Irish ancestry. Until next time, guys, peace.